he knows about it?
Yes, he does. I spoke to him face to face. So, okay, that being said, here's what we're gonna do in this forum. Each gentleman, each candidate is going to initially stand up and give a 5-minute presentation. They're gonna introduce themselves. They're going to, give us your background, your law enforcement background, some of the things ideas that you have. They'll get 5 minutes apiece. Who drew the first?
I did.
Okay. And the way we did this, how these guys are going to speak, starting off, we drew numbers out of a hat. So Mr. Crump's going to start off first. Mr. Price will go second. Mr. Harris will be last. After they give their opening comments, opening speeches, whatever we want to call it, they will come back. We will take questions from the audience. Please, please, please be respectful. Okay, be respectful. And these gentlemen are putting a lot of time in. You guys put time in, taking time out of your evening to come here to this forum. Let's make it a good experience for everybody. Okay. You're up.
All right.
And there's 4 more chairs over here for me. You guys want to come across? Take a seat.
If you guys want to come across, you're more than welcome.
We good? All right. I want to start off by thanking the Conservative Club for having us here tonight and all of you for showing up. For you that don't know me, my name is Jason Crump. I'm a lifelong resident here in St. Francis County, born and raised in Bonne Terre. Married for 22 years, got 4 boys, all graduated from Park Hill Central. I started my law enforcement career in 1997 when I attended Middle Area College Police Academy. At the time, I was working as a dispatcher for the 911 Center. I graduated in the academy in 97 and immediately went to work for the St. Francis County Sheriff's Department as a deputy in the jail. I worked there for a few short months and got a job with the Bonne Terre Police Department. So early 1998, I went to work for Bonne Terre. I worked as a patrolman. I worked as a detective. In that role, I got to work cases from petty theft all the way up to murder. I was assigned to, it was a countywide task force back then. It was called ICE. It stood for Investigation and Criminal Enforcement. It was started by my late Uncle Joe. So I got to work with it. And back then, our main job ended up being the methamphetamine crisis and meth lab. So we done that more than anything with that task force. In 2002, I was given an opportunity to leave law enforcement and go to the private sector as a supervisor at a manufacturing facility in Festus. I had a young baby at the time. The money was right, so I left law enforcement and took that job. So for the next 7 years after that, I worked my way up to a managerial position with the company. And that's really where I learned a lot as far as managing people, managing time, scheduling. In 2008, I went back into law enforcement as a reserve officer for the city of St. Genevieve. And in 2009, I went to work in St. Genevieve full-time as the assistant police chief, and I have been there ever since. My role as assistant police chief for the last 15 years, I have written and managed the department's budget that entire time and have never in those 15 years gone over budget. And I pulled the numbers for the last 5 years. We have averaged 5.5% under budget, and that money released back to the city to general fund to fund other projects within the city. I have written and implemented our current policy and procedures for the city of St. Genevieve, as well as our body camera and in-car camera program that we just started again. So that's some of my jobs and some of the accomplishments I've had as the assistant chief at the city of St. Genevieve. And in 2022, I was promoted to the chief of police, and I currently hold that position. Some of the plans or goals that I have for the sheriff's department, if elected as sheriff, I want to implement new policies and procedures countywide for the sheriff's department. And the policies and procedures, similar to what we've done where I'm at now, it's managed through a third party, which gives you someone monitoring your policies and procedures and keeping them up to date with current state and federal laws to keep you in compliance. It's also a web-based system, so it gives the officers access anywhere they're at from any smart device. It could be a cell phone, it could be a computer. And it also gives you the ability to push out daily trainers, so it makes your employees stay up to date on policies and procedures as well. I want to work on getting a body camera and in-car camera system for the Sheriff's Department, which is going to help with accountability and also transparency within the Sheriff's Department. I want to have a risk assessment done on the county jail in its current condition, and then address any immediate actions that need to be taken to get our Sheriff's Department or the detention center up to par where it needs to be, to where we can try to get federal inmates in, which is going to help offset the budget. You know, federal inmates, it depends. The rate depends on what all you offer at your jail, but there's potential there to bring a couple $1 million into the county's revenue just based off of federal inmates that you could house with your empty bed space. I want to look at a vehicle replacement program. And what the vehicle replacement program, it helps do, it'll help you maintain a fleet of vehicles that is dependable, in good working order, and it also helps with future budgeting because you can know, year to year what you're going to need and what you can plan for, which will benefit you going into a 5 and 10 year plan when you're talking budgeting. We'll continue applying for state and federal grants, which I have done in my current position over the last 15 years and received hundreds of thousands of dollars. We'll continue that as sheriff here in St. Francis County to help offset budgets. We'll work with the county's liability provider. The county's liability insurance in 1 year increased $100,000 with a $10,000 deductible. We'll work with the liability provider to see what we can do as a department to help lower that liability for the county and save some taxpayer money there as well. I have a SAFER program that we want to roll out, which is services available for everyone's recovery. And that'll make sure that we have the resources available and we're getting them out to the people. And that's recovery resources as well as mental health resources. I also want to make sure we're utilizing the medical wing that was just built at the Sheriff's Department. Make sure that we have the mental health clinicians on staff and ready to help people upon intake. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready?
Go ahead. Yep.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Kreitz, and I would also like to thank the Conservative Club for allowing us to speak. And we should have had a membership drive. This is great to see everybody here. But let me tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm running for sheriff. I'm a third-generation law enforcement officer, career law enforcement officer. My grandfather and my father were both career law enforcement officers, and I've taken that challenge as well. I learned at an early age law enforcement is very important, and so is serving your community. For 32 years, I've been with the city of Farmington. I started as a part-time dispatcher. I've earned my way up through the ranks and currently a detective lieutenant. Farmington is one of the agencies that has the highest call volume and versatility, different calls, a variety of calls, I should say. And I began my career, as I said that, part-time dispatcher. Just some of my highlights, and you're going to hear this. I think we all have this, and we all kind of have the same ideas. But I'm original member of the Mineral Area Major Case Squad. I've also was an original member of the Farmington SRT, which is SWAT team. I did that for 14 years. I've been an assistant emergency management director for the city of Farmington for also 14 years, waiting for that earthquake, waiting for that tornado, waiting for that bad storm. I've been an instructor with the Mineral Area Law Enforcement Academy, where I've taken my training and experience to teach new recruits who someday will hopefully take our place. I've been the evidence custodian for the city of Farmington for 16 years, so I'm supervising and managing every piece of property and evidence that's been seized and goes through the cataloged, packaged properly, and prepared for court. I'm also a member of the International Association of Evidence and Property Management. I was in 2020, they started a new program called it's through the Missouri Homeland Security Terrorism Liaison Officer. I was the second officer in the state of Missouri to complete that training, which took 2 years. Pretty proud of that one. And also, as Jason said about the ICE team, I also was an original member of the ICE team back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where we dismantled methamphetamine labs. I was a meth lab technician. I've been doing internal affairs for the city of Farmington for 16 years. And just recently, I became nationally certified as an internal affairs investigator. I've attended the Missouri State Highway Patrol Supervision Schools. I've also attended the University of Louisville, Kentucky Southern Police Institute Chief Executive Leadership Training. So I've been extensively trained in the criminal investigation procedures and supervised several investigations over my career. I continue to train. I feel training is very strong. And I'm going to move on to my family real quick. My wife, Chrissy, we've been married 31 years. We have 3 adult children, 2 boys and a girl. The girl has 1 year to go in college. So those that have children in college know exactly how I feel. But I have been supported by them with my employment that I've chosen, my chosen profession over the years, and now my pursuit to become your next sheriff of St. Francis County. So without them, I couldn't do it. So as sheriff, I'm going to bring a fresh perspective and a fresh set of eyes to the job. I believe in improving the overall product that we give back to the citizens. I want to do that through policies and procedures, manpower studies and call for service studies to find out that we have the proper manpower in the right places when we need them. Recruitment and retention. There is not a pool, very big pool anymore for law enforcement. So we've got to make that job more attractive, get people into law enforcement. That's another reason I teach at the academy, is to kind of look for people that we can hire. I want to do some online reporting where you can have complaints and commendations for officers. Wow, that's fast. I want to bring in new technology, body-worn cameras, in-car cameras, the use of social media properly, get the information out to the citizens on what we're doing, what's going on in their community. I feel like they need to know, along with the media. Overall improvements to the detention center with upgrades, again with policies, technology, training, reinstating the housing of federal prisoners. I think you're going to hear that from all 3 of us probably. We know what's broke, we know what needs to be fixed, we know what needs to be improved. I believe in the Second Amendment, and it's pretty simple. It will not be infringed upon. I don't probably have time to finish this, but I want to thank you all tonight. I want to take my training and experience, I want to take it to the Sheriff's Department and lead this county to where it needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you to the members of the Conservative Club for having us all here tonight, and thank you everybody who came to watch us give our spiel. My name is Tim Harris. I'm a Christian, I'm a husband, and I'm a father of 4. I'm a 24-year veteran of the St. Francis County Sheriff's Department. And I'm a constitutional conservative choice for St. Francis County Sheriff. Sorry, I don't like my phone sometimes. Throughout my 24-year career with the Sheriff's Department, I've held many positions in the department, from jail to patrol, from K-9 to detective, where I earned the rank of corporal and then detective sergeant. In 2014, I was assigned to the DEA St. Louis Violent Traffickers Task Force. In my 7 years with the DEA, I made multiple arrests in, around, and through St. Francis County for trafficking narcotics. I also made vital connections on the state, local, and federal levels. My time with the DEA exposed real needs within the Sheriff's Department to me personally. In 2021, I opted to return to the Sheriff's Department and take over as patrol sergeant of a struggling patrol division. I immediately began working with Lieutenant Ryan to lead my men and women and to restore morale, professionalism, and accountability to the Sheriff's Department. 3 years later, our patrol division rivals no other, and our men serve with pride and integrity. 4 years ago, I was going to run for this office. I did tell the sheriff that if he decided not to retire and run, that I would not run against him. When he told me that he was going to run, I became a man of my word, and I backed out. But in 3 years as patrol sergeant, I've been able to do the things that I said I was going to do if I was elected. We fought 4 and won Prop P. I was a major contributing factor in that campaign. This gave us the pay increase we needed to retain our experienced deputies. We added 4 corporals to assist with supervision. We also added 11 new patrol division positions. And then for the first time in our department that I know of, I was able to change from an 8-hour shift work to a 12-hour Kelly schedule, effectively doubling the presence of deputies on patrol and drastically reducing response times. I currently supervise 32 deputies and perform administrative tasks at the same time. Last year, I began a program for our local school districts. This program joins deputies and domestic violence survivors. And we go into schools and we teach youth about the dangers of domestic violence and dating violence. Last year, we were in 3 classes in 2 school districts, and this year we hope to broaden that. I also began active shooter training in our local schools, churches, office buildings, and even our courthouse. With mental health being at the forefront of most calls we handle, I began a campaign to ensure that every deputy and corrections officer is properly trained and certified in crisis intervention, or CIT. Additionally, I recently sent another deputy to advanced CIT training. That deputy is able to provide peer support for our deputies and any police officers who may be affected by the evil that we see on a daily basis. Using the connections I made at the federal level, I was able to obtain 3 canines who are now on patrol at no cost to the tax-paying citizens. During my first 4 years as sheriff, I want to update our outdated equipment. I want to improve our technology, improve transparency. I want to ensure that every deputy is properly trained in policy and procedures, bring in federal inmates to help offset the cost of running the detention facility, and I'm going to balance the budget. I want to continue vital initiatives like the Shop with a Cop program and the Explorer program, but I want to add a new initiative. This initiative is called Soldiers to Sheriffs. This program provides funding for a soldier who's wanting to transition from active duty into law enforcement, and provides that soldier with a job once they graduate the police academy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for listening to me speak. I pray that I've made a difference over my 24-year career. Now's the time for change, though. Now's the time. I'm eager, I'm young, and I'm driven to see this sheriff's department succeed at the highest level possible. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve you for 24 years, and I want to continue serving you as the next sheriff of St. Francis County. And I'd appreciate your vote on August 6th. Thank you.
Before we get started with the Q&A, I just want to thank you guys for being here. To me, those are some pretty impressive resumes. We've got, and I'm going to say this because I know these guys are a lot younger than I am, that it's good to see these younger guys wanting to step in and have spent that much time in law enforcement. The knowledge that you guys have gained from being out on the street is, I'm sure, second to none. All right, we will start. Like I said, let's be respectful. Whenever you raise your hand and I call on you, just give us, I just want your name, just say my name's so-and-so, and I'm directing my question to whichever candidate you're directing your question to.
Speak up.
Mr. Barton.
Yes. My name is Michael Barton. I have a question for all of you all. You all talked about beginning to house federal inmates again. Why was that stopped? If you could explain why that doesn't happen anymore, because I know we brought in about $1 million when it stopped, and now do you have a number of how much money that would actually bring in to the facility if we could get those back in, and what's stopping us from doing that?
Is that based on how many you have too? The more, I'm assuming the more you have.
You get paid per inmate. You negotiate a price with the federal government to house that inmate. A good starting point is St. Genevieve County Sheriff's Department. They have basically set the bar for housing inmates. They only house federal inmates on a routine basis, and currently make about $14 million a year based on that. The reason why we do not have federal inmates at the Sheriff's Department right now is because the U.S. Marshal at the time came in and gave the sheriff ultimatums. And this is me going off of what Dan told me. Once he gave him ultimatums, the sheriff does not like that from the federal government and politely had them pick their inmates up that day and leave. But
$1 million went with it.
yes, the money went with it. Yes.
You know, everything costs more now. You know roughly what that would be in today's dollars?
Well, I would say at least double. That's in my opinion, personally. I don't have an actual number cruncher with me right now, but I believe it would be about $2 million right now.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
I will tell you, it's up to about it can be up to about $95 a day per inmate. On average, it's about $88 a day right now.
And I believe St. John houses about 300,
385. Right?
Yep.
385. So,
With plans to add more.
I'm sorry.
Right now, we have approximately, I believe, 50 to 60 inmates with a 180-bed
We're missing out on a
facility.
lot of money right now.
We are missing out on money, yes.
Thank you.
Next question. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Barbara from Bonnefield. The question is for anybody who is taking, but I wonder if there's anyone who has a plan to do, say, from the end.
You guys hear that?
Yeah. So,
You can start it.
okay, sorry. Once Prop P was passed, one of the things that I said would happen if we were able to pass Prop P is we would add more deputies. Adding more deputies has been able to let us get into schools and actually coordinate training. Right now, we have 3 close quarter combat trainers. That's myself, Lieutenant Ryan, and one of our corporals. We get in, we train our men and women in every one of our school districts, so we're familiar with the layouts. We've also trained with the SROs of those schools and tried to get the best plan formulated for if that event were to occur.
I also agree. You know, it's all about the training and getting everyone on the same page. So there would be programs in place that you could train with the SROs at each individual school district and make sure all the SROs are in the same agreement with what the plan is, and then just work together in the event of a disaster.
Yes, and it's been proven that SROs in schools stop the threat faster than an officer responding to that scene. So having SROs in the schools is a major positive plus for it.
I just want to throw a question, and I'm just curious. Has there been talk about another SWAT, like a county-wide SWAT? I know that it's gonna take money.
Sure.
You're gonna have your guys that are gonna, it's like they got trained on their day off and stuff like that. But has that ever been tossed around?
Yes, because there's about a 2-hour wait, maybe even longer, with getting the Missouri
Well,
State
that's-
Highway Patrol SWAT team down here. Farmington does have one, but right now we've kind of been out of with all the hiring, rehiring of new officers and field training. They haven't been able to train, and therefore our policy is if they don't train per month, they can't be activated. So ours is kind of in a holding pattern, but ours is the closest one at Farmington. It's 2-hour plus for the Highway Patrol to come down here. So we do need one here that can respond quickly and effectively.
Generally, it is about a 4-hour wait once the Highway Patrol gets here. And nothing against them, they put themselves on the line to come down here and help us out. But the goal is to have something local. We've discussed actually having a countywide, but right now, Lieutenant Ryan and I are in the process of applying for a grant. And if awarded that grant is specifically for building a SRT for the Sheriff's Department. That way we can go to our municipalities anywhere locally that we need to and be able to respond accordingly.
You guys have anything over in St. John with?
No, we're in the same position right now. We utilize the Highway Patrol.
Okay, all right. Yes, ma'am.
And Mary Gaston. Mr. Kurtz, on your website, you mentioned needless lawsuits, and I was hoping any of you might address what you mean by needless lawsuits and whether there's any active current lawsuits pertaining to, say, conditions at the jail or any of those.
I don't know what the current lawsuits are, but I do know that there have been some lawsuits that probably could have been prevented. My understanding is there is a deductible with our insurance, with the county's insurance, and a lot of the lawsuits are just right under that. So inmates are filing lawsuits, and it's cheaper to just pay out than it is to take it to court and fight it. So that's what I meant by needless lawsuits.
And, you know, the conditions at the jail, I know in 2020 there was a
Yes.
Have those issues been resolved, or is that an area that you expect to see some improvement?
Well, that's where you're going to have to improve. You just can't keep paying out these lawsuits. It'll break the county, and it's not a good steward of the taxpayers' money. So we've got to.
One more quick one. On the technology front and having a computer system go down without a backup in place, is that something that you plan to have resolved?
You have to have that resolved. 30 years of records being gone, that's like starting completely over from zero. The repercussions from that are going to be felt for years from now. What cases aren't going to be solved?
What cases are going to be lost in courts?
Yeah.
Because of the integrity of the case.
Just that much data is just unfathomable. But yes, that's definitely going to have to be fixed. A new records management system. Yes.
Is that a result of just I don't want to have, I hate to say the word, but an antiquated system?
Or is it just human error?
It's not human error.
Excuse me.
It is a result of putting Band-Aids on bullet holes. It's a result of not taking action sooner. It's a result of we could have gone to another system, or I don't want to speak over the sheriff. That is a little above my pay grade, but I can add my personal opinion to that. And I will tell you that I believe today we signed with ITI, I believe, which will be a cloud-based system, and now we won't have that issue, because if we lose our data on a cloud-based system, every department around us loses their data. But yes, to your point, it was a lack of. So we had ordered, to my knowledge, we had ordered a new server. Once that server came in, we were told by Spillman Solutions and Motorola Solutions, which is Spillman, the company we use, not to touch that and to wait for their guy to get there. The day that he arrived, that system crashed and vanished.
And that's non-recoverable. It's gone.
So there's a backup system in place now.
Yes, once ITI takes effect, there will be a backup in place.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Chad Brown. I'm from Bonter. I've heard all three of you and kind of people in here talk about different things. My question is to all of you regarding transparency, liability with the lawsuits, things like that. What are you guys' views on technology such as body cameras, the Axon system, citizen review boards, things like that? We can lessen those things and make it better for the county.
Yeah, I had touched on it when I talked. I'm definitely pro body camera and in-car camera. We had a system at St. Genevieve PD, and we had some issues with our body cameras, and I just recently implemented a new program with body cameras and in-car cameras, and actually the body cameras are up and running 100%, and in-cars get installed tomorrow. So I'm definitely, pro body camera and in-car camera as well.
And I am as well. I believe this morning at 12:01, Farmington went live with their body cameras. We were behind. We wanted to wait and see what technology was out there, what was the best. So we went this morning. And as an internal affairs investigator, I love body cameras. It takes a lot of this he said, she said, whatever out of it. And we can watch those videos and show the people the videos, and it takes complaints away.
Yeah, I believe once we add body cameras to the sheriff's department, it's going to alleviate a lot of issues. They not only help with citizen complaints, but they're huge for your reports for court. We're getting into a day and age where not every prosecutor is pro law enforcement, and they don't necessarily believe just because you have written it down or if someone filled out a statement, they want to see it for themselves. With the addition of body cams, we'll be able to do that. We actually recently checked into Axon body cams. We know the price, what it's going to cost, but we're hoping to apply for grants for those.
Next. Sure. Sorry. Sorry, go ahead. I'll let the wife go first.
The last time I was down at the sheriff's department, I know they weren't utilizing the medical wing yet. So with it being in place, we definitely want to utilize it. We want to make sure that we have the mental health clinicians on staff so that these people that want to receive treatment can start receiving treatment upon intake. You know, I know we can't force it on them, but we need to make sure the resources are available there for the ones that want to receive the help.
But we did have really nice medical wing down there, and we'd like to see, and I'd like to hear from, I know one touched on mental health. How would you guys get that implemented to start using that? Because as somebody said earlier, these lawsuits. So how would you guys start that? And you're already in there, so I mean.
To start, Dave, we've got to have more staff in the jail. That hopefully will come with that Prop P. We have to add more staff to the jail to be able to function back there because it is not just attached to the jail, it is twice removed. So you have to go through what we built during COVID, a COVID wing to house our COVID inmates. And then you enter into the medical wing, which I believe houses 10 to 12 medical inmates. That would be great for those with mental health, but we are actually in the process countywide right now in the process of coming up with better solutions than jail for our mental health citizens that are suffering. I mean, a lot of people jail is not a place for some of these people. Jail is not a place, but we need better than the jail for those people. We can't always get them the correct help that they need. We're working with public defenders, prosecutors. The sheriff's department has a mental health professional on staff that's available 24/7 to us. And our nurse does a fantastic job trying to get these guys medicated, but that is not always the answer for us. We need better.
And if I can expound on that a little bit, the mental health has fallen a little bit on law enforcement's shoulders, and because who do you call? And there's an issue, you call law enforcement. And I don't know that we're all fully prepared for that yet, so I think it's a community-wide issue that we're going to have somebody step forward and get faith-based organizations involved, business owners, clergy, East Missouri Action Agency, and work together as a group to solve some of this homelessness and the mental health issue as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, since Mr. Price mentioned it, I was going to ask about.
Kind of what I said. I think it's a community wide, and we've got to work together as a community with everybody. Take all those resources, get them together, and then when we have an issue, we can find and help solve some of this homeless issue.
That's the biggest thing is working together.
Yeah, I was going to
Working
say, I
together with
agree.
the community.
It's nothing a sheriff's department is going to solve by itself. It's going to take a community effort.
Yes, sir.
So this question is about officer discipline, and I'm just curious about, we've mentioned I've heard the word frivolous lawsuit from my friend Dave Cater here. As an attorney, I have to stand up and say $1.8 million is a lot to pay out on a frivolous lawsuit. So my question is, what steps could be taken in terms of rooting out bad apples? And
I would say pre-employment background investigations are important. You can find red flags, and then job performance. Like I said, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but retention and recruitment of officers. Right now, we don't have a very large pool. There's only 1,100 new police officers in the state of Missouri since 2018 every year on average. So people are just not going into the law enforcement career. So we have that, I guess that saying amongst agencies of called pass the trash. You have an officer that's maybe not up to snuff and he goes to another agency. Well, if he goes away, then our problem's solved and it's somebody else's. We've got to stop that, and we got to do pre-employment background investigation and vet these officers.
That's my exact term. We can't play past the trash. We have, and post police officer standard and training. Once a deputy or police officer has been disciplined, if that person is terminated for that discipline, there is a form that we have to fill out giving disciplinary action when we take it to post. Post will then look into that disciplinary action and may hold a review and possibly pull that officer's license. Knowing the things that we know now, when we took over 3 years ago in this patrol division, there was, we did a lot of, a lot of things came to light. We don't currently have the employees that were there at that time, but we are full staff now. We've been full staff for months because our background checks are now go through the detective bureau. The detective bureau goes out and turns over every rock and every stone they can, and they follow that up with a CVSA, which is essentially, a lie detector test, and will tell you if someone, I know, it's a truth verification device. Anyway, it'll tell you, hopefully we'll weed out that bad apple before we even offer them a job.
I agree with that. It's the pre-employment screening as well as policies and procedures in place, and then adhere to those policies and procedures.
Now that you guys have said that's a yes, my question is, has these entities fallen down on that and are not doing it?
I would say they're being a little more lax due to the shortage. And I'm not accusing any particular department. I'm just saying in general, I think departments are becoming lax just due to the shortage of law enforcement.
Okay, I can.
All I can answer for is what we do at Farmington. We do a pre-employment background investigation. We go back to the officer's high school and check with his teachers to verify what kind of student they were. So in today's day and age, computers don't forget. Teachers retire, teachers move on, move out of the district. You may have gotten through, but computers don't forget. So yeah, unless you don't have a backup.
Got it, Clay? Gentleman right here.
Hi, Jeff Farmington. The sheriff's department in this county has a trust problem with the public today. And I would like to get some input from you guys on, solving the problem is one, but getting the trust back, reestablishing the integrity of the sheriff's department, and handling the PR front is a whole nother thing as sheriff will need to deal with. Can you talk a little bit about how you want to handle that addressing public trust and the PR piece?
I think a lot of it comes down to the accountability and the transparency with the body-worn cameras and the in-car cameras as well. If it becomes a problem, you can look at citizen review boards if you need to get some input from the citizens. And also, as far as the public relations, I think a public information officer is critical. They can get out, work with the public, keep the public informed of what we're doing at the sheriff's department, and just make sure they know every step of the way, everything that's going on.
I agree with that. You have to use the media. You have to use social media and get out there and talk to the public and let them know what you're doing, what's going on. Maybe if they'd have got in front of this a little sooner and came out and said, hey, we've had this crash, people would have been informed and it wouldn't be such a shock when it did come out. Yeah, you have to keep everybody informed of what's going on.
Yeah, total transparency. Total transparency. It can't, it doesn't just end with the body cameras and the public information officer. We need to be out there with our citizens on a daily basis. We need to be out there stopping when someone's mowing their grass, talking to them. Time permitted, call permitted, whatever. There's usually time that we can pull up and have a one-on-one, a conversation with our citizens, and we just need to be honest and answer questions.
As well as presentations and programs that we could put on for the public.
Yes, ma'am.
I think there's some programs in the schools already starting, and I know the Highway Patrol puts on a very good school, and I am pro training. So yes, training on that would be excellent to get done. Yes, I agree with you.
I agree. And I know the Highway Patrol has a task force that specializes in that. And I also think that we need to look at having someone, if we can afford the manpower attached to that, which is a direct link to the sheriff's department, that would specialize just in our county versus multi-counties.
We need to continue to work with the federal government. We still have, I sent a guy to St. Louis to take my spot at the DEA, but we've been offered a spot with Homeland Security. Those are vital in any kind of big investigation like that. But we first need to take it serious. When someone reports it, when someone comes forward, they need to know that the sheriff's department will do something about it, and trust us to be able to do that.
Yes, sir.
Currently, the sheriff's department's facing 700% to, year to date on it's basically be 700% over budget. My question is, after we went from 4 million to 6 million, now $8 million at the sheriff's department, doubled your budget in 4 years. The only other company that had an excuse to do that was the state of Missouri, where they had the money they had to do it. Sheriff's department's continually increased. We're going to be 700% at the end of this year. What are you all going to do? You're running as conservative, fiscally responsible. Spending money isn't always the answer. I want to hear each of you give a reason. How?
I have done a sunshine. I've looked at the budgets for the last couple of years. There's definitely places that can be trimmed. We can tighten up. A lot of it is looking into a 5-year, a 10-year plan, knowing your maintenance issues, knowing your wear issues, and not just setting a budget. Let's go 3% higher than last year. Let's go 3% higher than this year. And pre-plan for some of these items instead of everything being an emergency expense when the time comes. Because right now that kind of seems what we do. You know, we don't pre-plan. Something breaks, you just go to the county. It's an emergency expense. They have no choice. They cut a check and we move on. So it's definitely developing those 5 and 10-year plans to get it under control.
I agree with that also. There were some things that at the sheriff's department that did go out. I believe it was a water softener. That was a very large expense. That was the HVAC. Now we have the servers that have gone out, and then we're going to have to spend money to get a new records management program. Yeah, the 5-10-year plan, you have to budget for that. Plus, you have to cut and trim the fat. What I can say at Farmington, what I've done as a supervisor over the evidence and the detective bureau, we did not ask for anything that we did not have to have. I know Farmington is fiscally sound, and sometimes, you know, pad the budget. No, I've never gone over budget on what I've had to order, and I think that's what you have to do.
Agree with that. I can keep talking, but we're going to hear the same thing.
Like I said, we have
to build a budget and we have to stick to it. The overages have to stop. That there is places that can be trimmed in that budget to make us all fit in together, but we also need to plan, like Jason said, we need to plan for those overages and have that extra sitting on top of our budget, so we're not constantly asking for money.
At the same time, implement all the new things that you want to implement.
Correct.
It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is.
Not going to be easy.
We're in that day and time where it costs money. Yes, ma'am, back here.
Hi, my name is Stacey Easter. I know that Jason has touched on creating budget operating and in place throughout the year. I haven't really heard on you guys actually created a budget, implemented it, ran with it. You know, the experience that you had on actually creating.
Well, in my current position, I'm not, that doesn't fall into my position. However, I do have to make recommendations to the chief for a budget for the detective bureau. It's on a smaller scale, but yes, I have done that and definitely come in under budget. Also for the evidence supplies, all the packaging and materials, the computer systems we use. So yes, it's a smaller scale, but I have done it and come under budget.
No, I have not created that budget. My plan is once elected, I will get my guys together, my department heads. We will sit down, go over the past 3 years of budgets, and begin to build our budget based on that. That way, every department head knows exactly what they have in their budget to spend and cannot go over that, including overtime, comp time, vehicle maintenance, and things like that.
And you don't think that that would be a problem as you're going to be using guidance and your current has
We're going to try to be reasonable with that because, I mean, like you said, HVAC, the salt holding tank, things like that. And yet there are places, our comp time is astronomical right now. Between us and Road and Bridge, we've got comp time. No, I believe that we can go back far enough and grab enough information based on past budgets to bring that up and all come together and be able to plan for the yearly budget.
Hi, Mike Henderson. I just had a question. Just listening to all this, and I kind of wanted to ask all three. if we're gonna get more transparency, which I'm all in favor of, and a lot of the other things you guys have talked about, it's been really good. Are federal prisoners and taking some of them on and that money that brings in to stay within that budget, are they the key? That's kind of what I'm reading from a lot of it. We'd have to get that jail, we can take some of them on if we're gonna do a lot of things that you guys, which I think you have a lot of great ideas, so I'd like to know.
It's definitely going to help. A detention center only costs you money. There's no coming ahead on a detention center. So you have to find some way to offset that. And the only way you can do it is by the federal inmates. You know, if you do the math and, you know, 40 federal inmates is going to generate you about $1.5 million right now off of the current rate. So, I mean, there's definitely potential there to utilize that money to implement other programs.
So, I'll be done. Just, so the question is, basically, I think you answered it. To get a lot of these things that you think we vitally need, that would be probably one of the biggest parts of the equation.
Without putting it on the backs of the taxpayers, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's going to generate funds where everything else doesn't. And I don't know if you've ever heard a sheriff say, "I'd like to have 2 jails, please." I mean, it's yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take like 2 more questions, and then we're gonna let these guys finish up, and if anybody wants to, if it's all right with you guys, if people wanna
Mingle?
come up and mingle and get
Absolutely.
more face to face, I'm pretty good with that. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
No, yes, you.
Okay, my name is Crystal, I just have a question. How do you think going from a small 15, 20 for you two, and then taking on sheriff's department of 30 plus, and then all the officers, the paperwork, the detention center? So my question is when was the last time you two were actually out on the road and working along with the officers, and how do you think you can, you know, transform from 15 to 20 to 30 plus?
I still go along and work with my officers on a regular basis and cover the schedule. The concept of running a department is the same regardless of the amount of people. The only thing that's different is the number of people, the number that goes behind it, but the concept is still the same. Anybody that's taken any kind of management or leadership classes, they will tell you if you're supervising more than 5 to 10 employees, you're ineffective as a supervisor. You need to be more at the 5 number in this line of work. So if you're trying to supervise 30 people by yourself, you're not being effective at that. As far as running a jail, I've never run a jail, but I'm smart enough to know that I haven't run a jail, and I'm smart enough to build a team of people that can assist with that. And I'm also not too proud to ask for help in running a jail.
So it's kind of like, I'm just gonna throw this in. I'm a retired firefighter. So I was wondering about that span of control with your people, if that works the same way. Because you get more than about 7 or 8 people, you guys start splitting off and somebody else has got to run there.
It's like chasing cats.
Yeah, you gotta chase firefighters.
To answer your question about going out and working, I still work in uniform occasionally. I have to do, I wear 2 hats, I guess. As a criminal investigator, I was out there country days in uniform. Still put the uniform on, yes.
Tim, you're still on the road, right?
Oh, I am, yes. Yeah. I still answer calls, still write reports, and supervise the guys.
One more.
My name's Tony. Jail. I know the last year we had 4 guys. Seems like they had to make a lot of racket through that. I don't know. I was wondering if all of your main goals is.
I do.
Like I said in the beginning, go ahead.
Flip.
You go ahead.
I do. Something I was looking in is RFID bracelets. So you can set up like a geo fence around the jail, and anytime those bracelets go outside the jail, it would set off an alarm or something, because an inmate has all day to sit there and look for a loophole or a chink in the armor, so to speak. And we think we're pretty secure. We've got the building secure. We've got it locked down, all that. But they've got all day to look for that access point to get out. So I think those RFID bracelets would be a benefit, because once it goes outside a certain distance or parameter, it would definitely notify personnel. Well, you'd at least know that they're on the move. You wouldn't be 4 or 5 hours behind them, you know, and you could set it closer or farther, however you want to do it, however you want to set it up.
There's probably no perfect.
No. And I've already talked to some jail administrators and sheriffs of surrounding counties and asked for their assistance coming in doing evaluation of the jail. There's also companies that I've spoken to that come in and do a risk assessment of your jail that specialize in that. So they'll show us areas of deficiencies. And then, if it's to the point that it needs shut down, we're just going to have to shut down that portion of the jail until we can work with the commission and get the funding to fix it where it needs to be and make sure we are secure. Because we cannot tolerate inmates getting out of the jail.
We gotta add additional people to the jail. We gotta add more staff to that jail to be able to monitor these inmates correctly. We have what we call a control center in the middle of all of our pods. That control center needs manned 24/7. That way, if something's going on back there, they're the first to see it. I can't say that for sure. I don't work in the jail, but I'm saying that it needs monitored. It needs manned 24/7. The jail has 23, I believe, full-time employees. 2 of those being the administrator and a lieutenant. After that, you have the booking procedures. You have inmates to move in and out through back and around. They work 8-hour shift work. I don't believe that the jail's time is managed correctly as far as their schedules. If that were to change, we would be able to add or better staff that jail and have more people on duty at the same time.
You can also be a little more efficient too with maybe doing more video conferencing, where you don't have to move the inmates out of the jail for court purposes and back, where you can do it through the video conferencing system.
Okay. Everybody, great questions. I learned quite a bit. We'll go ahead, 2 minutes, 3 minutes for a wrap up for each one of you. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
You feel good? Okay. We'll go ahead and go in the same order that we went.
I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out, coming out, asking some great questions. Please feel free, reach out. I have a Facebook page, Jason Crump for St. Francis County Sheriff. We also have a website, jasoncrump.com. Ask any questions, contact us. I'd love to meet in person if you have additional questions. But again, I appreciate everything, all the questions you guys did have. There's a lot of areas we didn't get to touch on tonight. We could go on for hours on probably all of our plans and what we're going to do for the Sheriff's Department. But I don't think anybody wants to stay here that late. So don't hesitate. Reach out anytime. I'll answer any questions any of you guys have. So again, I appreciate it. I would be honored to have your votes on August 6th. Thank you.
I'll reiterate what Jason said. I think this is great. I love seeing all these people come out, you all being here and listening to us and what our ideas are. I do feel that we need to, as you heard, we all kind of similar, have same ideas pretty much. We know what's broke. We know what needs fixed. We know how to fix it. But I would hope for your support August 6th. I love law enforcement. It's been a great career. I've enjoyed it. I've learned it's coworkers that I've worked with. These guys, I appreciate them. They've done a great job in their careers. So we just hope you come out August 6th, support us, and I can be contacted. My flyers are, we've got some here. My personal cell phone is on there. That's kind of hard for a law enforcement officer to open up and say, here's where I live, here's my phone number. I've been taught over the years not to do that. But now that I'm running for sheriff, it's out there. I can be contacted very easily, and I thank you all for your support.
Well, I think I gave everything I was supposed to give in the initial. Thank you guys again for coming out tonight. Thank you for listening to us and asking all the questions that you asked. Thank both of y'all for being here too. I learned a lot from about this from you guys as well. You can find me on Facebook at Tim Harris for St. Francis County Sheriff. I also have a website, harrisforsheriff.com, and I'd appreciate your vote on August 6th. Thank you.
Again, appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
You got Hank, and it looks like all of you guys got supporters. Let's if you guys are gonna be available for questions.
Absolutely.
We're gonna just finish up real quick. The only thing that, unless you guys know anything, our next meeting, and please, you're all welcome. Our next meeting will be July 8th, right here. And at that time, we are going to have our, state reps from 117. Chad, that's you? Okay. You're more than welcome. We're gonna do the same thing. We won't beat you up too awful bad. We got Chad, we got Becky, and we've got Mike. Will be here as representatives. We are also going to get our state senator candidates. Mike Henderson is here, and we are going to be getting a hold of his opponent, which is Cindy Buckeye Courtway. Okay, so that's who we got. Yes, ma'am.
Just an administrative question. We went over the minutes and we went over the budget. And I read in the minutes that there was an approval to send 2,500 to President Trump, but I didn't hear that being explained. Is that pending?
That's pending. We're still figuring out the logistics of how to do that.
I think for lack of a better term, site, because they've got one that, I don't know if anybody's given, if any of you guys have given to Trump, you've gone on that WinRed, there's some issues with that. I mean, it's not no big deal. We're trying to figure out which way we want to go. I mean, I have volunteered to personally take the check and hand it to him, but you guys won't let me do that. I don't know why, I stick in mud, Anyway, like I said, thank you guys for coming. I need a motion to adjourn. Mike Miller makes a motion to adjourn, seconded by Carrie. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Thank you guys, appreciate it.